Hey there, toy collector friends and Transformers fans alike. Welcome back to the channel. I'm the time-travelling toy collector, that's the Triple TC. And I'm here today with a new entry into the Transformers Studio Series range, number 110. I'm not usually a collector of the Studio Series figures other than Studio Series 86. But I saw this being reviewed by someone else and I thought, I really love this figure. I need to have this in hand. And I'm very fortunate because now I do. This is the Studio Series Bumblebee movie, Shockwave. And he's a very impressive figure. He's a Voyager class figure, but a very, very impressive figure, I have to say. Very evocative of the original 1980s version of the character, much more now in scale with his counterpart figures. Beautifully articulated, beautifully detailed and coloured, etc, etc. The alternate mode we'll talk about in a second. Let's just have a quick look at the packaging for those who like to look at the packaging. Here it is. Nice picture of Shockwave on the front with his arm cannon and his eye all aglow. There is light piping in the head. I don't know if I'll be able to get it on here, but I'll try. The cannon, of course, is also removable. There's more detailing on the side there. I've just whacked him. He's going to fall off now. I'll tell him to be very careful. And there's the reverse, where we have Shockwave, all shockwavy, and then his alternate mode, which is a Cybertronian tank, because tanks are the way to go with Cybertronian Decepticon forms. No comment. I mean, we all understand why that is the case, and we all understand everything around it. There are times when you just think, okay. But here we have the strange little H-tank thing here. I must admit, at the point that I'm starting this, I almost don't want to transform him into that. It looks peculiar. It has sort of lying down robot vibes to it. I mean, I'm sure it's fine and adequate, but to be honest, I'm here for the robot mode. I'm not going to lie. But we'll see. We'll see how I feel. Maybe I'll do more than I'll surprise myself. But yeah, so that's pretty much it for the packaging that it comes in. He stayed up, so that's a result. Before we go any further, it'd be brilliant if you could like this video, and of course if you could also subscribe to the channel. I am trying to get towards my next milestone in terms of subscribers. It's free to you. There's no additional or hidden charges. There's no Patreon. There's no anything like that at the current time. So if you could subscribe to the channel, there's no commitment. You don't have to watch every video, but it would be really great in helping me reach that milestone. Anyway, I'm not going to beg, although I am begging. This is me begging. But that's enough of that. Let's get back to the main attraction, which is this Shockwave. Here he is on his Studio Series background, as we can see here, as he appears in the battle for Cybertron that's occurring just prior to the departure of Bumblebee and some of the other Autobots away from Cybertron. It's a very nice, neat little display base. If you use it, if you don't, it really doesn't really matter at all. I'm just trying to see if I can get some of that light piping in his eye. And it's really hard to get, particularly to show up on camera. But yeah, it is a really lovely effect when you capture it. Let me go in a bit closer anyway overall for the figure. So he's got very evocative head with those panels either side, which do articulate side to side. You can go all the way around if you wish to. There's a little bit of tiltage, but not an awful lot. The arms, I mean, I'm just going to say here for a second, I love this figure. I'm not big on Studio Series figures other than 86, because you have to have some boundaries when you're collecting stuff, otherwise you go mad. But I really hummed and hawed about this. There's another one that I'm humming and hawing about simultaneously, which is the concept art Megatron. So if any of you've got the concept art Megatron figure from the Studio Series range, drop a message in the comments below as to whether or not you think that is something I would like to have in my collection. Again, the robot mode looks fantastic. The vehicle modes, I'm not so sure about, even from seeing other people's videos. So your opinions would be really grateful. I'd be really grateful for. So just drop a comment down below and let me hear what you're thinking. Anyway, let's get back to this figure. I love all the homage to the original G1 figure, which of course really wasn't a G1 figure at all, but we won't go into the history of it. The face sculpt, such as it is very nice, very well done. You've got the translucent plastic across the chest piece We don't have a Decepticon logo here. In fact, we don't really have a Decepticon logo anywhere. We do have, let me see if I can find it for you, because it's very, very hidden. Here we go. We do have the Autobot insignia here on the forearm. I don't know if you can see that there. Let me see if I can go even closer for you. There you are. Can you see that there? It's the Autobot insignia there on the forearm. I believe, from what I've been told, that's a throwback to when this was going to be an Optimus Prime figure, or a retooling of an Optimus Prime, or it was going to be... I don't know the full story because I'm not that well briefed on these things, but yeah, so apparently there's a carryover and you can see that there. Although I don't quite understand how that would have happened. Maybe it's secretly a callback to when he was a respected senator, depending on your historical mythology of the Transformers. What an imposing and fantastic figure this is. Look at all of the body detail there. Look at all the detailing on the arms. You've also got the articulated fingers here. Sorry, articulated fingers. The articulated wrist. It actually doesn't have articulated fingers, more's the pity. But he has got some very nicely ratcheted arms. There's no bicep twist, so I couldn't have his hands on his hips looking all sort of commanding. We do get some waist articulation. The gun has some tilt to it there, if you can see that. It is a separate piece as well. Let me come out slightly because it's all a little bit in your face, isn't it? This was a separate piece. I'm not going to mess this up now. So you can see his hand is, his arm is within that. So this is a detachable piece. So he can actually have two... See, I'm such a klutz when it comes to doing any transformations. I just don't want to risk damaging it. Because there's bound to be a right way and a wrong way to take it off. So there you go. It's come off all by itself. And we have the hand somewhere here. Which I've done it when I took it out of the box. Oh, there we go. There we are. So the hand just unfolds there. Up it pops, and now you've got your hand. I think there's a way to store this, but to be honest, you just don't have it on there. That's if you want him to have both of his hands in action as a figure. But goodness me, this is you know. This is Shockwave, so why would that be the case? Let's get that back on there, and then let's get this back on there. However we do it, let's see. Goodness me. Oh, it was all going so terribly well, wasn't it? I thought it just clipped in, but now I can't see what I've done differently this time. But yeah, I really... Sorry, came out of shot there. I really love this figure, as you can probably tell from my enthusiastic spiel. But look at the detailing on those legs. I've done the upper body. The detailing on those legs is great. There is a hint of battle damage, so you can see some of that grey also has some sheared elements on there. I think the legs are great. There is articulation around the feet, going around to the back. There's quite a lot of articulation. It's very Bayverse-esque. And very limited in terms of kibble. Certainly doesn't have that G1 kibble. There is some hollowness around the feet and around the back end of the legs, but you know, it's a Voyager class figure. I don't think we're missing too much in that respect. But ultimately, I think it's got a lot of beautiful heft to it. And I, for one, think this is an exceptionally well done figure. He has a lot of the gravitas and the swagger that you would want your Shockwave to have, to make him feel like a credible threat. And again, I don't want to get into the discussion around too much around the G1-esque alt modes, because I know he turns into a space gun, or should turn into a space gun, and this iteration is again one of those sort of Cybertronian tanks. But you know, that's just, we're in a different time and place now, and there is a logic to not having little toys that look like very realistic. I mean, Shockwave looking like a space gun, I'm not sure if that counts as a very realistic weapon, but certainly with Megatron I take the point. But I think from an evolution of the line and the brand, I think that having meaningful Cybertronian vehicle modes is a good thing. It helps you situate the characters of the time onto Cybertronian into Cybertronian lore. I think all that's great. Do I think it looks better than he looks as a robot? So I think there's a wayward hair that's reached in there. I can get rid of that. Well, I think his robot form is excellent. And again, looking at the vehicle mode, it doesn't inspire me to keep him in that or to have him in that. So I'm worried that if I transform him, I'm not going to have much to say about that, other than it's not something that appeals to me. I like him in this mode. I will certainly be keeping him in this mode and displaying him in this mode. This is the only mode that really matters to me. But I think he's a fantastic figure. That said, I will transform him now for you very quickly, just so that I can comment on how effective the transformation is and what I really think, because again, I've only seen pictures. So when I see him for the first time transformed into his Cybertronian tank mode, I may have an entirely different perspective. So hold that thought, hold your breath, and I'll be right back with a Cybertronian Shockwave in his tank mode right now. Yeah, so here we are with the sort of H-tank form. What to say about it? Well, I'll say the positive is that the transformation is great fun, actually. I was a bit worried that it was going to be overly complex. It's about 22, 23 stages. It's actually very simple, very straightforward. I really enjoyed doing it. It wasn't a difficult thing. I'm not sure the end product is worth it. I'll tell you something else that I like. I don't know if this is deliberate. I assume it probably is. But I've not seen anyone mention it. There's a hint of, once you see it, you kind of can't not see it. There's a hint of a face here with the Decepticon crest. Because there is no Decepticon insignia here. But if you kind of just look at this section, I kind of see a Decepticon shield. It could just be me being optimistic, but it just appears to be there at the top of the gun barrel. Now again, it's a Cybertronian tank, so they can get away with murder, technically, in terms of what it looks like. It's got some gaps, it's got some very strange lines in it. It's got treads, so it can, let's see, yeah, it can roll kind of, but why would it? Yeah, I mean, it's what to say. I'm trying to be positive. I mean, you know what? As a Cybertronian tank, I kind of get it. It works. It's a very, it's quite sturdy. It holds together well post transformation. This doesn't really have a lot of scope. It does rotate, but there's not, there's not a lot of play movement there. You can angle the gun up and down, but with a bit of fiddling, because it's kind of flush. You could have it slightly less flush, but then it's slightly less well held together if you have it slightly less flush. But it does overall tab together really well. It made me think of the Batmobile from Arkham Asylum, the Bat Tank, a little bit in some respects. It's got kind of a Batman vibe to it, but that's just me being a bit peculiar, I'm sure. As I mentioned before, less likely to be keeping it in this form. I mean, you can see from the top how gappy it is, but then there have been certain Batmobiles that have been quite gappy. But yeah, this isn't, for me, this isn't doing it. I won't lie. But you know what? It's an acceptable alt mode, given it's Cybertronian. I can really see a Decepticon face there on the top of that gun turret. Yeah. Well, you decide. Tell me I'm mad. Don't actually tell me. You don't need to tell me I'm mad. This is a fact. But so it's passable. It's passable, and there may be some instances that I can't currently foresee in the future where I think this would be quite a good thing to pose Shockwave as. I don't know what they would be at this time. So this is unlikely to be his form of choice when he's on any sort of display that I'm doing. But for the sake of this video, I would say this is what you're getting if you transform him into the H-Tank mode, Cybertronian mode. H-Tank because it just looks like an H, you know, not for any covert reason. Yeah, you can see the treads, you can see really the same detailing you saw when he was a robot, so it doesn't, there's nothing remarkable about what he transforms into or what is revealed through the realigning of his parts, as it were. And the detailing is still good. He still looks like a formidable foe on the Cybertronian battlefield, don't get me wrong. But for me, this isn't it. So sorry, old Shocky, but this isn't it for me, I'm afraid. Not the worst transformation I've ever seen, and certainly the transformation mechanics, pretty good, very solid, easy to follow instructions. I had no sort of crises of confidence in transforming him, and I hope I repeat that when I almost immediately now transform him back, because I don't want him staying like this. Yeah, so what do you think? Does a Cybertronian Shockwave from the Bumblebee movie have a slot on your shelf? For me, certainly his robot mode does. I'm very here for that, and I can't wait to put him back into it. Less keen, as you may have gathered, on the alt mode, but he doesn't, you know, it's mine, so I don't have to display him in alt mode. That's entirely my choice, and I will choose not to. But the figure, as you've seen, excellent, top class figure. His presence as the Shockwave we know and love, or love to hate, absolutely top notch, and a 5 out of 5 for me in terms of the figure durability, flexibility, posability. It's great, and his overall presence within the range, really great. Really glad we've got this figure. So that's really all I have to say. Thank you very much for spending the last 20 or so minutes with me. Again, if you do enjoy seeing me go through the ordeal of transforming some of these and sharing my words of non-wisdom, then please do like the video. It sends an awfully good message to the algorithm, and additionally it costs you nothing to drop a subscription to the channel, and you're doing your good deed for the day, because that way you never miss a future video unless you choose to, and I get another step closer to my next subscriber milestone. So everybody wins. Thank you so very much. You've been a fantastic audience. I have been the Triple TC, that's the Time Travelling Toy Collector, and this has been Hasbro's Studio Series number 110, Shockwave, as he appeared in the Bumblebee movie. I look very much forward to seeing you in a future video, and it just remains for me to say that a thing of beauty, in robot mode, truly is a toy forever. Take care, bye-bye for now.